we've got our friend Jeff Hathhorn, our sports director. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning. I heard Caboli was coming in, and I wanted to talk to him about what we're going to exchange for Christmas, since we're going to get to spend 8 hours together on Christmas Day.
I could not think of a worse time for the Christmas Day game either. For people who cover it, no doubt about it. For fans going to the game, it's going to screw up a ton of Christmas mornings. Like, if you want to go see that marquee matchup, you're going to do it right. You're going to tailgate. So Christmas morning, for a lot of people, I think effectively ruined.
I don't know
Jeff.
why you wouldn't do it like a 4 and an 8.
Yeah.
Because normally you do Christmas stuff in the morning with the kids. Then you have your, whatever you want to call it, brunch.
Arguments with the
Right.
family, yeah.
And then you got time. Then it's kind of like, because there's anticipation of Christmas Eve. Then there's the Christmas Day. And then by 4 o'clock, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, you might be sick of
Boom,
everybody.
first game, 8 o'clock game. Not that I want a night game, but you know what I'm saying.
A night game would be better for practicing Christians. The night game would be better because nobody cares about Christmas night. You care about, like you said, Christmas Eve night, and you care about Christmas morning. But we don't need to dwell too much on that game. The second half of the schedule, Jeff, I'm at a loss for words. I've never seen anything like. What do you mean it's great?
I mean, you got everybody right in front of you you need to beat. So you're going to get into that part of the schedule. You know who you need to beat. They're right there in front of you. Actually, I don't like the 3 games in 10 days.
That's rough.
And what really sets this up is they wanted Steelers Kansas City for Christmas. They wanted that as a marquee game. So that kind of set all this other stuff in motion. And you noticed, in the NFL scheduling over the last couple of years, I mean, Steelers didn't get the Ravens until week 12 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and then didn't they play twice in 3 weeks?
And Cincinnati was really late last year. I mean, they're really backloading division games in the league. That's just a thing that they've been doing. And understandably, I mean, as those games are almost like a game and a half because of the importance of those matchups later in the year. So I kind of get why it's that late. I know it's a change. I know it's different. I know people don't like it, but
if I'm going to go with you and I'm going to look at
and
this.
only one primetime game after the bye.
That's true, although that might hurt them because Mike Tomlin's got his guys up generally for these primetime games. If there is one thing I will look at positively here from this, well, there's 2 things for the second half of the season gauntlet that they're going to face. Like, you got a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterback, potentially 2 rookies on the offensive line. It might take the offense a while to get up to speed, and so you would rather have easier games, if you will, early while you're kind of learning who you are. That's one positive. The other would be you're going to play these division teams, all 6 of your games against them in the final 8. It's going to be really tough to lose 2 games to the same team in that short a span. Like, it's if you lose to, let's say, Cincinnati the first time around, and then you see them again 5 weeks later, I don't know. I kind of like your chances of splitting maybe even better that way, but that might be too optimistic.
You got Atlanta with a new head coach in the first game. You got Denver with, I don't know what their quarterback situation is in game 2. You got the Chargers with a new coach in week 3 for your home opener. Then you got Indy, and I don't know what Richardson's going to be. I mean, he didn't play much last year. Then Dallas is prime time. You go to Vegas, which will be Steelerville. The Jets and Giants. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to be worried about Quinnipiac polls on on October 20th. He's not going to be worried about a football game. And then you go to Washington. That's a winnable game, and it is. I mean, it's a tough part of the schedule, but it's almost like the playoffs start November 17th.
I'm with you on that. The other thing that has jumped out to me.
Thankfully, the Kansas City game is not a playoff game.
Yeah, right.
Because Patrick Mahomes owns the Steelers like I don't think any quarterback ever has.
Well, and I am holding out hope for that game in particular, Kansas City. Maybe they've got stuff locked up by then. Like how
maybe there's a Tay breakup that's ravishing the team on Christmas Day.
Or maybe Travis Kelce proposes on Christmas Day in beautiful scenic snow globe Pittsburgh.
Maybe
PA.
Mahomes is worried about all the layaways at Walmart.
I look at the schedule in the second half, Jeff, and I think the 2 weak parts of the Steelers roster today on May 16th, their cornerbacks, the wide receiver core. And I look at all these teams, and I think every one of them, basically, except for Washington, I'll scratch them off, can attack bad corners, and You'd like to be able to go point for point with them if they are going to exploit your bad corners. But with George Pickens being, for my money, their only really viable wide receiver, I don't know that you can keep up score for score.
But those two problems would be an issue no matter what the schedule was. No matter what order you had them in, the fact that they need another corner and they need a number 2 receiver
That's true.
is going to impact you no matter how they threw out the teams. Whether Kansas City was the first game or on Christmas, not having corners or not having faith in that, it's maybe by the second half of the season, maybe a Corey Trice becomes a guy. He shocks everybody and he becomes the other corner.
Good.
Or Dante Jackson, it reverts to some kind of old form that Mike Tomlin loved 5 years ago.
You know what, Jeff?
Ifs and buts, though. You don't want to go into a season with a lot of ifs and buts.
No, I like the ifs and buts and candies and nuts, especially around Christmas time, which has become a big topic here. You know what, man? Your optimism, your glass half full mentality. I'm changing my Steelers prediction from 10-7 to 10-6-1. Jeff, appreciate the time.
Atlanta again? Is it another Atlanta tie?
Oh, man. That was my 17th birthday.
You remember that, Michael Vick?
I do remember that. I think Hines Ward scored a touchdown with his shoes falling off, if I remember correctly. I don't know if he scored.
I just remember the Michael Vick with like 16 seconds left. And then it just...
You know what? It is going to be...
They scored all those points, and then they couldn't get anything done in overtime.
Is this the one on the road, or is this the one at home where Maddox threw the ball to Plex and he fell sideways? Because they tied them twice. You're right. If they do tie, it's going to be week 1 against Atlanta, and they've tied in week 1 before against the Browns.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you coming in, buddy. And I poured my heart out to Jeff during the break, too. I got 2 kids at home. I got caught in a rainstorm yesterday. My life is spiraling down the tubes.